We're just going to do this. Because I'm tired of screwing around with it. Oh, allergies. I hate being outside. Welcome back to Deep in Bear Country, a Berenstain Bearcast. I am your host, Phil Gonzalez, and if you can't tell, I'm outside. I'm in the great outdoors. It is a beautiful spring, summer, I'm not really sure, day here in Minnesota. The sun is shining. The birds are literally singing, like to a ridiculous degree. There's hardly a cloud in the sky. It's blue. There's a nice canopy of leaves overhead. I'm in my backyard. I am trying my darndest to enjoy the day, although if you know me at all, you are more than well aware of the fact that I am not the type of person who enjoys things like the outdoors, the outside, bugs. There's bugs everywhere. It's actually kind of gross. There's gnats. I don't know what happened. It's like I guess we had enough rain that in the last few days, the gnats have become just outrageous. They're landing all over me. They're crawling all over me. I can't stand it. But I'm outdoors, and the reason I'm outdoors is because this week's book is an outdoor adventure. Now, the Berenstain Bears in the beginnings, they were always outside. We had the big honey hunt, we had the bike lesson, we have this week's book, but it's always adventures in the out of doors, exploring bear country, exploring the world. This week's book, though, is specifically outdoors. You cannot do the activity in this week's book indoors anymore. You could in the late 18th century, early 19th century, but you cannot anymore. That's right, this week's book is the Berenstain Bears, The Bears Picnic, the third I can read it all by myself book. This is a classic. This one comes right after the bike lesson. And this is where we first get Mama Bear as a participant in the story. Now, she's not much of a participant. She's mostly just dragged along. I don't think she actually ever says a word, but her face says it all. This is also a book that when I initially covered it 10 years ago, I believe I made a big deal, or as big a deal as I think I thought I made a big deal. Little did I know, one day I would be making the biggest deal over these books. At the time, I believe I made a big deal about the fact that Papa Bear screws up in this book, but not to the degree that he's sometimes assumed to be screwing up. Most of the things that happen in this book are out of Papa Bear's hands, and it's unfair to judge him as a poor picnic planner because of things like the weather or other people's plans or the train schedule, which is, so I guess he could have looked that up. But again, it's not a game ender. It's not a deal breaker, or it shouldn't be. It is for Mama Bear. This is very similar in structure to the other books, where Papa Bear thinks he has a great idea. The plans continually fall apart. He tries to improve on them. They fall apart. He ends up back home. I guess that's the lesson, is just don't ever leave the house. Don't leave the house. But first, the picnic. Now, also, if you know me, you know that I do not like eating outside. I don't consider it any great shakes. I don't consider it a treat. I don't consider it usually pleasurable. But if you live in the Midwest, specifically if you live in Minnesota, I don't know, I can't speak for other states, but if you live in Minnesota, eating outside is this, it's kind of like the beginning of baseball season or football, like any sport. Like people are like, woo, it's the opening game. People treat eating outside like that. Like they will stake out restaurants, and when the restaurants bring out their patio furniture, it's like Christmas Day. It's like patio season's here, patio season. People really want to eat. People will eat outside at restaurants in this state if they're I used to work at a bookstore. I still work at a bookstore. I used to work at a different bookstore. It was in a strip mall. And in the strip mall was a strip mall within the strip mall, like in the middle of the parking lot, that had a Leanne Chin. I believe it still has a Leanne Chin. Chinese fast food. Leanne Chin, the late lamented Leanne Chin, she was from Minnesota. Now she is wherever corpses go. The Leanne Chin had this restaurant, had a little patio seating though, outside, like 4 tables. I think it still does. 4 tables in the middle of a parking lot. It not only was in the middle of a parking lot, it was at an intersection where cars were driving through the parking lot. Like it wasn't even like you were butted up against parked cars. It was a high traffic area. People would sit and eat their greasy fast food Chinese food in the middle of a parking lot, exposed to exhaust fumes from cars, because to them it was better than eating inside. Now, I understand that there are some places where you don't want to eat inside. We've been to a few eateries around town where the inside is sterile, it's uninviting. They really want you to sit out on the patio, and that's fine. Or it's really enclosed. Once COVID hit, yes, eating outside was a big deal. Now, but it was never anything that I gravitated toward. But my lovely partner, Alana, my lovely girlfriend, the amazing, incredible Alana, who we've all met on this show, she adores eating outside. When I first met her, when we first started going out, I was like, oh, you choose to do this. Like, yes, I would eat outside if they were like, it's like a 45-minute wait if you want to eat indoors, but we have tables available outside. Then yes, I would be like, sure, fine, let's go eat outside. But I would never be like, let's eat out on the patio. It just seemed like you're inviting trouble. This has nothing to do with picnics. This is not what picnics are. Picnics are not that. Picnics are an animal in and of themselves. Picnics, first of all, let's cover this right off the bat. Picnic is not based on a racist term. I know there's people out there who will still insist picnic is based on... There are words and expressions that are based on racist terms. I'm not even going to tell you because I would have to say a racist term. Just know that if someone says, picnic's based on a race, it's not. It's based on a French term. That the roots of the French term are piquer, which means to pick, like pick at things, and nique, the noun nique, which is like just a little bit of something, just something like stuff, a little bit of things, to pick at things, just to pick at things. The original picnics, well, first of all, if you go back, there are bugs everywhere. Shoot, bugs. They're like landing on me. They want to land on me. Picnics. Actually, the first use of the term picnic that we have written down is 1649, a French satire, a burlesque, if you will, about a character named Picnic, who was the hero of the... He was a glutton. He was sort of this Bacchus-esque character who would just sort of devour everything, and so he would guzzle, in stark contrast to the food shortages. I'm reading, by the way, from the history of the picnic, from historytoday.com. So picnic was this sort of disparaging term, but by the late 1600s, by the late 17th century, early 18th century, picnic had taken on a more general meaning. And what picnic was what we would refer to as, in this day and age, as a potluck. A picnic was for aristocrats who would meet at clubs, but where there were no kitchens, so everyone would have to bring their own food. No one was in charge of the meal. They referred to them as picnics because you would bring a dish and then everyone would kind of pick at them. And that was what originally a picnic was. It wasn't an outdoor thing at all. It was an indoor potluck for people who belonged to clubs and gatherings. You would have picnic gatherings where people would meet and pick at their food, I guess. It was only in the late 18th century, early 19th century, that the French started, as the French fled, the French aristocracy fled the revolution. They started bringing the ideas of these picnic potlucks to other parts of Europe. And it was the English who transformed them from these indoor potlucks into outdoor nightmares, leading into the Victorian craze of picnics. And leave it to the Victorians to turn something controlled and enjoyable, something you sat inside in a smoky, wood-paneled room and ate greasy meats with the rest of your cigar-smoking friends, into something you would sit on a riverbank in scratchy dresses and heavy wool suits, wearing your boater hats, being beset by mosquitoes and gnats and ants and wasps because you were getting back in touch with... The Victorians loved getting back in touch with nature. The Victorians thought that getting back in touch with nature was like the height of civilization. Being in touch with nature was not something Victorians smiled at. Being in touch with nature was for the people we were colonizing. They were colonizing. I never colonized anyone. My people did. I have Spanish blood and Mexican blood. So I have a little bit of both sides of the colonizer and the colonized. But the British were like, if you were in touch with nature, if you were of nature, if you were part of nature, if you feel a connection to the earth, you're a horrible person who must be colonized. If, however, you are devoted to getting back in touch with nature, you are a proper Victorian gentleman or gentlewoman. Let's all go on a picnic. Let's go on a picnic, I don't know, to Hanging Rock. Most of us will disappear and never be heard of again. The greatest thing that ever happened to a Victorian picnic was most of the people disappearing. Let's go boating. Let's put on our boating hats. Let's go fishing. Let's eat a picnic lunch of cold meats and get sunburned, I guess. I don't know. Let's have a parasol made of lace that doesn't block anything. I don't know. Picnics are horrible. That's the history of the picnics. The thing about picnics was they were sort of this middle class thing that became a any class thing. They became a political movement. Politicians would throw picnics to drum up support because anyone could bring. You would just bring your own food. They were like sort of like cheap ways of having gatherings. Picnics were good ways of courting. If there was a young woman that you were interested in, you would take her on a picnic because it was outdoors. It was easily observed, so you could enjoy personal time together alone, but also within the view of other people. So it wasn't considered inappropriate. Picnics were great ways of taking first dates. Some people still consider picnics great first dates. I guess if you wanted to go on a first date with me and you thought a picnic was a good idea, you would see a side of me that you better be. If you can't handle me at my I hate being outside, you don't deserve me at my uncomfortable in my own skin inside, but at least I'm inside, I guess, is what I'm going for. Picnics! The Bears Picnic. Now, I don't own a physical copy of this, or if I do, I don't know where it is. You can get this book on ebook. You can get an ebook of this, and it preserves all the original illustrations. They are chopped up as they are, but it preserves all the 2-page spreads. What is the Bears Picnic about? Like, what's the point of this book? Well, first of all, just so you know, 1966. We good? The Bears Picnic. 1966. Papa Bear has an idea. He doesn't want Mama Bear to have to worry about cooking that day. He's like, put away your apron. We're going to go. I have a special treat all lined up for you. We're going on a picnic. And Small Bear's like, where are we going? He's like, I got this great spot. This is the spot where your mom and I used to go on dates. It's right at the top of a little hill. There's a tree for shade. I've already laid out the blanket. We have the lunch. Let's remember this spot fondly. This is a great picnic spot. And for all intents and purposes, it's over a little wooden stone bridge. Got a little creek running by it. Got flowers, got tulips. We got a tree for shade. Beautiful little picnic spot. But uh-oh, says Brother Bear, or Small Bear. I don't want to complain, but your wonderful spot is next to a train. Now, here's the first flaw in the book. First flaw in the book, a train goes by, it covers them all in soot. We can't have a picnic here. There's trains coming by. But are there trains coming by? Are there trains coming by? Or is there a train coming by and there won't be another train for like an hour? Right? Look at the schedule. I still think this is a good spot for a train. Or, you know what? Maybe not on this little hill, but maybe you move back a few yards and you won't be in the direct smoke fall of the train. Mama Bear, however, is not pleased. She's already angry. She's got Mama Bear angry eyes. She's covered in soot. Where are we going to go now? And Papa Bear's like, I've got a backup plan. This is good planning. Papa had a plan. He knew it might not work out because he's had experience with things not working out. I've got a backup. There's a place in these trees. There's literally a picnic spot in the trees, in the woods. There's picnic tables set up. There's little stone areas to heat up your food. It's perfect. And Mama Bear looks pleased. And Papa's like, no one remembers it's here but me. I don't think that's true. This looks like a well-tended area, Papa. It looks like people have been here and have taken care of the spot. But it's cool, it's quiet. It's just like we were when we were in high school, dating each other. Ernie and Melissa, going out on dates, enjoying a picnic lunch. They sit down, but Small Bear notices something. Uh-oh, there's a bus pulling up. They didn't realize this was a reserved place. A huge bus full of people show up for their picnic lunch. Now, I want to point out, I remember pointing this out years ago. The people who pull up for lunch are wolves, pigs, dogs, monkeys, squirrels, hippopotamuses. Looks like there might be a kangaroo in there. some unidentifiable types of animals. This is still when bear country is not just for the bears, right? We are still fresh in, the bears have not chased off all the other sapient creatures. We have not regressed to only bearhood. But the picnic spot is overrun by people. I guess they'd reserved it. We've all been there. We go to a spot at the park. We think we're going to settle down. We don't realize the spot's been reserved already. The problem is as the bears leave, food is being thrown at them. By whom, I can't tell. But there's a squirrel. Food is being thrown at the bears, so they trudge through the high grass to find a better spot. They sit down in an area near a dismal swamp. Unfortunately, it's near a dismal swamp, and they're set upon by the most incredible drawing of mosquitoes I've ever seen. Stan and Jan Berenstain outdone themselves. They have drawn dozens of mosquitoes in a tidal wave of mosquitoes attacking the bear family. So they run, they leave, they get on a raft, they set out to sail. Mama bear is furious. They find a spot that is a dump. They find a spot in the dump. Unfortunately, it's at the base of a cliff. They don't realize that at this point, I would say cut your losses and go home. You're covered in filth. Your food is ruined. Your blanket is ruined. It's covered in tires and old tin cans and jawbones and bottles. Cut your losses and go home. You accidentally settled in at the dump. Also, this is before Actual Factual and the Cubs decided to clean up, because this is right next to running water. So I'm going to assume this is before they decided to clean up the environment and get the trash out of the creek in Beartown, because this is nasty. Papa's like, look, I found a great place. Let's get away from the dump. It's an open field. Let's have a picnic spot in this beautiful open field. Unfortunately, I guess there's an airport, because a passenger plane, flies by right over. This is okay. You would know if there was an airport right here. I get it. It's the 60s. Things are a little bit, they would know if somehow, maybe it's crashing. I'm not sure. But they have to flee the jet. Finally, last ditch effort. They find a cliff. They climb a cliff face, a sheer cliff face. They get to the top. Perfect picnic spot. They settle in to enjoy their picnic at the top of this perfect picnic spot. Unfortunately, it starts raining, and Papa Bear's like, look, we're bears. We can deal with rain. Mama's had it. She grabs Small Bear's hand, leads him off. Papa Bear's like, where are you going? It's just a little bit of rain. But unfortunately, the picnic spot is hit by lightning. They trudge home across bear country. They end up back at the house, the dream spot, the dinner table, the lunch table, the breakfast table, the perfect picnic spot. So we see the cycle of the story that we've experienced before. But I want to point out a couple of things. None of this is Papa's fault. I mean, yes, he could have planned ahead. He did plan ahead pretty well. The first spot was perfect. There was a train. Again, as I said up top, the train would go by once. I don't think the train's going to come by again. You can check the schedule so that you're not in the line of a train when it comes by. Or you move a few yards to the east or the west, away from the train track. It's still a beautiful spot, right? And I would say that a spot within view of a passing train is rather idyllic on a beautiful day. But they want to have their picnic right then and there. And then they move to his backup spot, which again is a great idea. It's an actual picnic area, not quite as romantic, not quite as intimate. But the only problem was that he didn't check the schedule. He didn't realize it was reserved for that day. Every other spot after that, yes, but he's flailing at this point. But you still can't blame him for wanting to have a good day. I would say 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 for planning. You didn't check the train schedule. You didn't check the park schedule. But you did a good job. You chose 2 beautiful spots, Papa. Everything else is a nightmare, and you should have cut your losses while you were ahead. Mama was already fed up after the train went by. You should have gone ahead and just said, well, we're covered in soot. Let's just go home. After the garbage dump, then yes, you would have. Now it is, you cannot. I get it. Now he is being stubborn. If they had made it to the top of the cliff and the rain hadn't started, would have been perfect. Would have been great. It's a beautiful spot up top. Climb to the top of a cliff, enjoy your day. Unfortunately, it started raining. There was a cave. You could have gone in the cave. You started in the cave. Like you're from cave dwelling folk. Yes, you could have gone in the cave. Doesn't matter. At that point, you're done. The picnic's ruined. As a non-picnicker, as a person who does not enjoy a picnic, I would say the picnic was probably ruined when you decided to. However, I will say this. If I planned a picnic and was going to be a great sport about it, had picked a couple of spots, I believe that my beautiful girlfriend, my incredible girlfriend, my amazingly smart 20-year partner would have said, yes, yes, we've been together for 20 years. No, we're not married. Yes, we have a child. No, we're not married. If you want to know the story behind this, that's a different podcast. I've been asked, why are you, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We've done everything else. We own a house. We have a child. Sending her off to high school next semester. We stuck it through. If I planned a picnic with 2 possible stops and both of them got ruined and we ended up having to come home, yeah, I did a pretty good job. I say my girlfriend would say, I can't believe you wanted to go on a picnic. Clearly this is something, what a thoughtful thing you've done. And I'd say Mama Bear probably is thinking that. In the moment, she's upset, she's filthy, she's wet, had a pretty bad time. I'd say Papa deserves some kudos for this. This is not the stubbornness of the honey hunt. This is not the belligerence of the bike lesson. This is the pre-planning of the picnic. I just did some improvised alliteration without even thinking about it. The pre-planning of the picnic, I'd say gets him 6 out of 10. Should have cut his losses. What are my thoughts on the book? This is a beautifully illustrated book. The Berenstains were really settling into their style at this point. Lush backgrounds, gorgeous landscapes, some great 2-page spreads. This is a book worth owning. If you can get your hand on a vintage copy with the original cover, not the redo cover. I don't like the redo covers with the later style of artwork. I like the later style of artwork, but it doesn't fit with the interior art. I love the original cover of the Bears Picnic. It's totally worth having. It's totally worth owning. It's a fun book. You get to trace their little trip through Beartown, Bear Country. You get to see the Berenstains practicing other types of animals. It's a good book all around. Mid-60s Berenstain Bears were where it was at for that time. And then it was the 70s where it was at, in the 80s and 90s. And today, they've managed to stay where it was at. I've managed to be outside without freaking out because of all these insects. I've managed to talk without coughing, even though I'm outside and I have allergies. I'd say I did a pretty good job. Going into my 10th year of doing this, I'm now comfortably in my 10th year of doing this. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. Yes, I have a show coming up in August. If you are in the Midwest and you want to come see me perform, you can come to the Minnesota Fringe Festival. Go to minnesotafringe.org. The pages aren't up yet, so starting into June, you can check it out. I believe maybe I think tickets go on sale in July. I'll keep posting stuff about my show once I have images. I have enlisted the aid of Mads Torres, the Berenstains, the office manager and social media guru person, who to design my imagery for the show. I am more than thrilled to be working with Mads, a delightful artist, an incredible artist, and a cool person to work with. So I will be putting out more information. It's not a Berenstain Bears related show. It's a little more adult. It's a little darker. It's a little more personal than my previous show. But if you want to see me, if you're in the Midwest and you want to see me perform, I'll be doing a 1-person show, 5 showings of it at the Minnesota Fringe Festival. So otherwise, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining me outside today. And I will see you all next time. Deep, God, I hope this recorded in, I can't see the recorder from where I'm sitting, so I hope it's going Bear Country.